Hey guys, JP Fluellen here, Titan Real Estate Team, once again, dropping some knowledge today. And this is the deal, like we are hearing and seeing a lot of movement in the market right now. Things are getting kind of wild. We're in a wild world. You know, as Elon Musk says, we might be stuck in some sort of weird simulation. But guess what? This is our reality. And a lot of you that are watching this are probably trying to decide whether you want to jump in the market, do you want to be a spectator, or do you want to play the game? And specifically, we want to talk about renters. So if you're a renter, listen up because this video is for you. And we're going to talk about how do I transition as a renter into a buyer? So one thing that you probably are used to is that I've got a landlord that's going to cover all my expenses, and it's going to cover if something breaks, or my dishwasher's not working, or the garbage disposal stuck, or whatever's happening in your life right now. And you just pick up the phone and you're just like, landlord, hey, save me, and then next thing you know, you got the maintenance guy coming over to your door fixing all the crap that's wrong with your house. Well, this is huge, is that all of that goes away when you buy a house. With one exception, if you get a home warranty, then a lot of that stuff is covered. So that's pretty nice. Even myself, who is a seasoned real estate agent, I have had a home warranty now for about 12 years, and it's super nice. I just pick up the phone, something's broken. I do pay my little $80 over the phone for my deductible. And guess what? The maintenance guy comes on over and fixes my stuff, which is that a little secret. A lot of you that are out there that are listening to this that own homes that don't have home warranties, guess what? You can have a landlord too, and you can still be a homeowner. So as a little side note, but if you're trying to transition, you got to think about a couple things. Number one is you got to make the decision. I want to decide that I tire renting because all my money is getting who rich? Yeah, the landlord's getting rich. Next thing is that you got to start thinking about what is it going to cost me to transition from my rental into a new home. And so a lot of those costs are typically the down payment, the utilities. These are just costs that are associated with that. Also, one thing, when you buy a house, there is a little bit of a gap. So there's a little bit of breathing room. So if you have just a couple of months left on your lease, then you can almost avoid having double payments because you get about a month to a month and a half without having to make that first payment on your mortgage. So that gives you some time to kind of time when the end of your lease comes and then moving into the other property. The other thing is that you're probably going to look at different programs. There's some grant programs out there. There's also some down payment assistance programs. There's also second mortgage programs out there. So you just got to find what lender works best for your situation, and then also how much money you need to bring down. But I would just, as a general rule, just start saving up about 3.5% of what you might qualify for. And I would do that now. So that way, you know exactly what and if you're able to make a move when you already have that information. Because really right now, it's a knowledge game. The more information that you have, the more decision power you have by having as much of that upfront information as possible so you can make some informed decisions about what it is that you want to purchase and where you want to purchase and how much you want to purchase and how much you want your monthly payment to be for your mortgage. So that's the first thing. The next thing is then trying to figure out, okay, when you're ready to make that decision, you don't want to start spending any money on any credit cards, taking out new lines of credit, buying furniture, buying a new car, all these things that get you super excited because you're like, oh yeah, I can do all these things because I have to put all these things in my new house. The other thing that you want to look at too is don't make a buying decision on a home based on the furniture that you have. We run into this all the time. Oh, well, I have this big furniture set in my, in my room, and I got to have a room that's big enough for that. Well, first of all, why are you looking at your furniture that is like $1,000 purchase to then decide how much money you're going to spend on a much larger purchase? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. With that being said, like if you have a car or truck or whatever, those are things you want to consider as far as the size of the garages, location, things like that. You also want to think about if you're going to want to buy a house or a condo or a townhome. Now, in my part of the world, a townhouse is a twin home that's connected, that has usually 2 stories and a basement and a garage attached to another property that is the exact same thing, just in reverse. That is a twin home. A condo in my world can also be a townhouse, But in some areas of the country, a condo is really like you're buying an apartment. You're buying a one little cube inside of a big old building with a bunch of other cubes. So there's things like that you have to consider on what it is that you're trying to purchase, because at the end of the day, you want to get good retail or resale value out of that property. So sometimes if you're going to buy something like a trailer house or like a manufactured home, you may not see the returns on the sale of that property. So we talk about a lot about appreciation. When you're purchasing a home, a home generally appreciates at about 3% on average across the country. And a lot of times if you're buying a trailer home or a manufactured home, it's a little bit less than that. So just keep that into consideration if you are finding like the magic moment where you're like, this is the one. Well, just consider the type of construction as a general idea of what kind of returns you're going to get if you're going to live there for long term. Now, if you're just buying property as like an investment, or you're going to buy one, live in it for a couple of years, turn it into a rental and buy another one, well, those are also some things to consider, because if you're using that type of strategy, then it doesn't really matter because someone else is paying your mortgage and you're not paying it. And it's always a great rate of return when you're not paying for any of it. So that is something to think about. Now, when you get ready to make the decision, now, depending on if it is a corporate office that's managing your rental, then, or an individual, a lot of times you are able to get out of your lease early if you're going to make a purchase. If you just have a conversation with the landlord and say, hey, what would it look like if I could get out of my lease early? Let's just put a hypothetical out there, because we are thinking about wanting to buy a home. And we probably are trying to do this before the end of the year, because right now we know what interest rates are. But with this election cycle and all these different crazy things that are going on right now, it could be it could be a war zone for all I know. But now we know what the rates are. So what would it look like if I were to just get out of my lease early? And a lot of times, these corporate offices, they will just hammer you. You're stuck into this thing, until the end. If it's an individual, a lot of times they'll work with you like, hey, we'll give you a buyout, or, even with the corporate offices, they may have something in their lease. So that's also helpful too. Just go through your lease, review your lease. If there's anything in there that says, hey, if I want to get out of my lease early, what are my options? And, because I know as a landlord myself, I've managed quite a few different rentals, and I don't want tenants in my properties that are thinking about leaving, because I want that long-term tenant that doesn't care about buying a house long-term. And so I want to get that tenant in there that wants to live in my properties forever, and they don't care. They don't have any aspirations to go buy a house, which is kind of weird, but hey, to each his own. That's a lot to unpack, but if you want to know more, learn more on how this all works, what are the mechanics behind that, feel free to reach out, hit me a DM, make a comment below, and look forward to having a wonderful conversation with you about how you can buy in today's market if you're a renter. I'm JP Fluellen, Titan Real Estate Team at Real. Look forward to a conversation, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.